Welcome, welcome, everybody. Another episode of Marco Boxing. About to bring in my man, uh, Drew Titan. Um, we are going to cover a few topics. Um, Charlo versus Canelo, which me and Drew were at the New York press conference for that. And then there's been some new developments. Terence Crawford has changed his mind about the weight he wants to fight at. So let me get Drew in and let's just tackle this. My man.
What's good?
My man, how you doing?
Brilliant, man. Brilliant. Had a complex day, but I'm here.
Mm, okay. Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
Enjoying the last few weeks of this weather until it starts getting cold, and you know how September is.
Very confusing. September out here is very confusing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
um, so we were at the press conference together. It was interesting. Um, so off the press conference, what were your first? We're talking about Canelo versus Charlo, obviously. What were your thoughts? Did anything change? Did anything formulate in your head from this press conference that maybe wasn't there before?
I like Jamel's energy.
Okay.
Um, he was a little more than happy to be there. He was very mature, a lot different from the highlights that we see
He was.
on the videos. You know, whenever they turn the camera on, he's always going off on somebody or cursing somebody out. They get the worst of him. But I feel that the Jamel Charlo that we got next to, that was really him. And sometimes I guess he's one of those people that when he gets like ticked off, he cannot control his emotions when he's lashing back, when he's responding.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that atmosphere where people were going to say something to him to try and piss him off. It wasn't like that. That's why it was by invite only. And shout out to Showtime and the PBC and what's her name? Kelly Swanson.
That was her name?
Yeah, that was her name. Forgetting it. Forgetting
Yeah.
it done. Yeah. That's something else.
Yeah, I mean, but you
Yeah.
know what? It's a good contact to have.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so now next one, you go to, or even I go to, we might go to the front of the line.
Yeah. Hopefully, yeah. Maybe if we don't have phones, if we have a if we
I
have a
know.
real camera.
And you can't have chew gum or have your hands in your pockets.
Yeah, you understand. I mean, that was just crazy, but whatever. With that being said, Jamel answered everyone's questions to the best that he could. I appreciate the fact that he got into the WBO controversy about them taking his title. It was an eye opener when he said that he cared, that he worked for those belts and he wanted to keep it, and the
Right.
WBO was stripping him. And when I asked him, I said, well, someone asked him, and then he started talking about it. And then I asked him, I said, why are they just stripping it? He said, I don't know. You got to ask Steve Espinoza. And I didn't see him. He was standing right to my right. And I turned the camera on him. I said, well, what's up, Steve? And Steve was like, what did I walk into? And then he started talking about how he's fighting for Canelo's strap, but he can also keep his strap because he didn't lose it. Right. And he was trying to ask, why can't he do two things at once? Well, it depends on who's holding the belts. And Steve Espinoza is the one that said, well, politics. And then after that, I asked Steven to elaborate on that. And then I went in to ask him about the franchise status. And then he said that Steve said, I heard that Mauricio Suleiman is going to phase out the franchise status. And I said, well, Steve, the franchise status is why we didn't get Jamal Charlo versus Canelo 3 years ago. Now they're phasing it out. I mean, this is why the franchise status is why we didn't get Devin Haney versus Lomachenko 3 years ago also. So, what's going on, man? And I know it's not, Steve doesn't work for the WBC, but he has, he can obviously speak to Mauricio anytime he wants to. And of course, it's not Steve's fault, but I'm glad that we got a professional opinion
Right.
as far as what they're doing. And it's just like, wow, this is further proof that boxing does what's in its best interest as far as making money. And right now, the PBC and the WBC and the other sanctioning bodies, they still see value in Canelo Alvarez. So to sound long-winded, but to answer your question, I got good energy from Jamel, and I was able to, I size these fighters up when I get next to them. I compare them to me,
Right.
and I'm bigger than him, but I was looking at his reach and his arms, and I said, you know what? Weight-wise, he's the smaller guy, but he was actually bigger than Canelo in stature.
Right. So like for people watching, I got next to him. I'm 5'11", and Charlo looked almost like exactly my height, whereas Canelo was more like 5'8", I would say. You agree with that?
About
Yeah.
that. Small.
Right.
He's not a like height. He's not a now, okay, I guess he can make 175, 168, cool. But I was able to get next to him. And I'm a little bigger than the average person. When I got next to him, I sized him up and I said, I mean, Canelo, let me get this. Let me just be clear. I never said Canelo's trash in the ring. He's a phenomenal boxer. But what we're talking about here is we're talking about the value that the business sees.
Right.
Now, Brian Custer, he asked him, why the PBC, why now? And Canelo's response was, the time was right. But it wasn't right just last year when there was a 3-fight deal on the table that included Benavidez. It wasn't right back then.
Right.
Now the time is right. And what I wanted to do, all I wanted to do was ask him, okay, the time is right. I wanted him to reiterate or elaborate on what he said to Brian Custer. And my follow-up question would be, who's on the menu? Are you fighting on a consultant basis? After Jamel win or lose, is it a rematch? Are you going to go? Who are the other? How many fights? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 5? Because I just saw another article today where he said he has about a good 5 years left in his career. That's kind of long. I just saw it on Boxing Scene. 5 years?
What is he? 33, 32?
He might be older than that, but 5 years? I don't think so, man. I don't think so unless they got that mapped out. One fight a year against people that it really doesn't matter. And that's a little troubling. So I like Jamel's energy, but how I feel about Canelo, it's a 12-round fight. And I think Jamel's down on the cards already, and one of them is a 10-8. Cards are done. It's his job to change the mind of the judges and put them in a position where it's like, if we go in Canelo's direction, we'll never hear the end of it.
So you don't think that Canelo can win on the scorecards? I mean, excuse me, Charlo can win on the scorecards. You don't?
No, he's gonna have to show me. I mean, Bivol put it out of reach to the point where it's like when that bell rang, we were all looking like, you know what? If this goes anywhere near Canelo, it's a robbery and people are going to jail. They couldn't do anything.
Right.
In this instance, that's what comes with the territory with Canelo. I don't think the PBC, and I heard some things about money. I can't deny or confirm anything, but Canelo wouldn't come to the PBC if there wasn't a serious bag involved.
Right.
And I heard some things about money. I'm not sure. So I'm not going to put anything out there for people to say that I said it. I don't know.
Right.
But what I will say is PBC must get a return on their investment. And Canelo wouldn't come over here to lose. He wouldn't come over here to take fights that he didn't think he could win. Okay. Jamel's coming up from 154.
Right. Now, this is so my first impression when I heard about this fight, I was a little surprised because of the size difference. Then I thought about it. I'm like, okay, well, Canelo got his first loss since Floyd from trying to bite off more than he could chew, and then just didn't look very good against, was it Ryder, right?
Ryder, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He didn't look very good. So what I thought he was doing was what we're seeing a lot of lately. We're seeing Tyson Fury do. We're seeing a lot of people. He's taken a fight that he thinks will be a lot less risky, but he could still make some money. So
Right.
that's what I got from it. So I get why Charlo takes the fight, but
Mm-hmm.
for Canelo, there is slightly more of a lose-lose situation because if he wins, people are like, well, you beat a smaller guy. And if he loses, people are like, well, smaller guy beat you. So why do you think he's taking it? Just because he perceives it as the easiest fight he could have for the most amount of money?
To put it bluntly, I've been saying this about Canelo for a while now. Canelo's in the business of legacy padding. And he'll do what he can get away with because his fan base is such that he can do anything. And he'll get away with it. They don't care, from what I was told from Mexican fans that really care about the sport. Guys like Marquez and Barrera. I saw something with Eric Morales when they asked him about Canelo, and he just shook his head and said something and walked off. No, it wasn't. Was it Morales or Barrera? It was one of them. It was one of them. And they asked about Canelo, and he gave a not a disrespectful response, but a negative response, and just shook his head and walked off. In other words, these guys are not impressed with Canelo because Canelo's not fighting his contemporaries. Now you can look at Jamel as a contemporary. You can try, but my man, he's at 154. That's not a contemporary. Okay.
So what chance, if you put it in percentage, 70-30, what chance do you give Jamel of winning?
And let me be very clear. I'm a former huge supporter of Canelo. It was him popping dirty and them changing rules for him. That made me step away from him.
Okay.
When he first signed to fight Golovkin and they had the presser in New York, not the presser, it was it was open to the public. It was the press tour. That's what it was.
Okay.
And you got in there for free. And I was in there waving the Mexican flag. I have pictures to prove it.
Okay.
And it turned me off for Canelo. So what chance does Jamel have?
Yeah, just pure boxing wise, in the ring.
Boxing wise, he'll be able to be in there and compete. I think it's going to the cards. But I think it's like 70-30.
Okay.
Canelo. And it's only because the business. I don't trust the atmosphere. I don't trust the business.
Right.
I don't think Jamel will be in a situation where he'll get caught. And let me be very clear. I'm rooting for Jamel, man.
Right.
I'm rooting for Jamel for a number of reasons. I'm rooting for Jamel.
Right.
Because Canelo feels he's taking the easy route. People that are watching, understand Canelo was about to go to cruiserweight to fight a guy named Makabu.
Right. Oh, yeah, he was. That's right.
And in Makabu, all we know, because we can't name anybody at cruiserweight right now. All right. But all we do know is that one of the belts that Usyk vacated was the WBC in Makabu. And he ended up with it. And what Canelo was going to attempt to do is go up to cruiserweight and fight him just to get that belt.
Right.
He could be on record. So Canelo's been in the business of legacy padding. That's what the Kovalev fight was about. That's what the Makabu fight was almost about.
Right. And that's
it's like, so I don't like that about Canelo.
Right.
I don't like that about him, and I can't respect it. So I'm rooting for Jamel. I just don't know if it goes 12, how does he win this? Unless he pitches a shutout or in the championship rounds, he starts using his wheels, because the word is Canelo got busted wheels. Right. He starts using his wheels and really starts pop shotting them and hitting them with shit that he's never like he's not prepared for. And he also fatigues late in the fight.
Well, we just saw a fight where probably what happened was what was least expected to happen, which was Spence Crawford, right? The outcome, I think we could agree, that was the least expected.
Yeah, on that level, yes.
On that level, right, for that fight. So for this fight, the least expected outcome, I think, would be Canelo getting knocked out, because not just because he's bigger, but the guy's a chin. Like, what do you think would be the least expected outcome in this fight?
That Jamel hurts him and drops him once.
Or knocks him out, right?
Knocks him out. The only time I've seen Canelo hurt was very early in his career when he fought Mikhail Goto's brother.
Brother was tagging him up.
Yeah, and he hurt Canelo. But Canelo failed forward because we never seen him hurt like that ever again.
Right,
and he's learned a lot. He has very great. Listen, Canelo is a fabulous boxer.
You heard
and
it here.
It broke my heart when he popped dirty. I mean, listen, when I tell you I was a Canelo supporter, I was in the pocket for that guy when I was on Facebook fighting people.
Right.
Fighting people. He beats Golovkin. He beats Golovkin. Watch. When it came time for him to fight Golovkin, he dumped the belt. What could I say?
Right.
If he beats Golovkin, why did he dump the belt? I had nothing to say. I said, well, what could I say?
Right.
Then he fights Golovkin. He beats him, but then that was a controversial win. Then he pops dirty. And I'm like, yo, come on, man. What am I supposed to do with all of that? How do you defend that? You don't. And then he's not fighting his contemporaries. So you're talking to a former Canelo supporter. And it broke my heart to just, I can't defend that guy.
Right.
I can't defend that guy. So I'm rooting for Jamel.
Okay.
I'm rooting for Jamel. And because I think that Canelo thinks that this is easy work. There's a reason why he came to the PBC now and not last year when on the menu was Jamal Charlo, I think Benavidez and Errol Spence was on that menu in a sizable amount of change. And he said no. And then gave you Gennady Golovkin 3, a fight that he said he wasn't going to give you because he was done with it after 2. And then he gave you John Ryder.
Absolutely. And like my issue is that Canelo isn't fighting Benavidez, which I think everybody in boxing has a problem with. I don't understand why. I mean, maybe it's a very risky fight, and Canelo, like you said, he's about trying to build his legacy. And some can argue the guy's fought everybody up until recently. Why not? You know, so it goes both ways. But that's unfair to Benavidez, and I think Benavidez would beat him. I think Benavidez is the most talented super middleweight in the world.
Yeah.
But we're not going to see that fight. I think Canelo seems like, for whatever reason, he's staying clear. His response recently was, "Oh, he talks too much." That's why.
So punch him in the face and get it over with.
Yeah, I mean, everybody talks a lot. Right. So that's going to be an interesting fight, Canelo and Charlo. But I think I'm with you, where I think it's very unlikely that Canelo loses that fight. But you know, the pressure's on Derek James now, big time.
Man,
you know what I mean? Like,
Derek James got his hands full, man.
Has a lot of pressure. You know,
it's about to be it can be a bad year for Derek.
And that Anthony Joshua fight, in my opinion, by the way, and I don't want to spend too much time talking about that fight, but that was not going too well for Joshua.
No, it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't. No,
but,
and Derek, just to digress on Derek, and you know, Derek's a friend. He's a friend of the shows and everything.
Right.
But that Errol Spence loss, that was unseen. I didn't, you know,
nobody thought
somebody had to win, somebody had to lose.
Right.
I'm happy for both of them. But the way Errol got wiped out, everybody left the T-Mobile like, but even Bud fans was like, what the hell was that?
Oh, yeah, you were there, right?
So, I was there, and everyone was like, we'll take it, but
was the energy like Tyson versus Douglas, just like what the fuck just happened, or no?
Yeah, like that. People were walking out like, yo, we'll take the win, but was Errol drunk? He had to have been drunk. Everyone said that was not Errol, but I don't want to like stay on that too long, but everybody was confused. It was crazy.
But I will say, and now mind you, I picked Bud going in, not by the fashion in which it occurred, but I did
right.
But I did see a clear, how do I say it, a difference in his personality, a difference in his exterior. His eyes looked glazed over. His speech was slower. He did look. People said he looked like he was smoking weed. Now I don't think he smoked weed, but
you don't smoke. But
there was something there. Now I don't think that would have made a difference. I still think he would have beat. Bud would have,
and I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
But there was something there, and to say that, you know, we can bring up stuff that we see, and it doesn't have to be an excuse. both things can be true. There could have
Right.
been something wrong, but Bud was still just a better fighter.
Just because I picked Errol to win by 6,
Right.
but just because I picked Errol to win by 6 doesn't mean I dislike Bud. And I said it's boxing; it can go either way. There were Omaha was behind me. Those guys from Omaha, a whole row, and they were like, after round 2, they was like, "What the fuck's wrong with him?"
Right.
I was like, and I'm filming the fight on my phone. I said, "Oh my God," and I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. It was insane. I said, I don't know what's wrong with this dude. But listen, if he had an injury or if anything was going on, he should have postponed the fight. He went in there and he took it like a man. And he's not giving any excuses. So I don't even want to. I'm beyond talking about you, Marco. You know, I got an ear to the ground and I talk to people.
Right.
And look, if Errol is not saying anything, then I'm not saying anything.
Well,
but what everyone can agree on is that Errol didn't look himself that night, but that's not Bud's fault. And actually, Bud could have got him out of there like in 5. To be honest,
right? And we talked about this on your show, but Errol did explain in a roundabout way what probably was the issue when he goes, "Look, I'm not going to make an excuse. I agreed to the weight, so that's that." So that kind of that let us, and I'm not saying it's an excuse because I'm a firm believer of like, no, there are reasons. Now that doesn't, you still lost. He's not sitting there saying I would have won if blah blah blah. He's just, two things can be true. There's always a reason why a fighter loses, and that's on him. You don't think Bud had to lose weight? He did.
So right.
But whatever. Do you want to see the rematch?
Absolutely.
You do.
Absolutely. We can we agree that we've seen worse ass whoopings?
Yes.
We've seen worse ones in the history of the sport. We've seen far worse ass whoopings.
Way worse. This was just assumed to be so much more even. That's why it stands out.
Right. He got up and the ref stopped it. You understand? Can we agree when Douglas and Tyson ended, right? Mike was far worse getting up off that floor. He put his mouthpiece on backwards. It was crazy.
No, he was out. Yeah.
No one said for him to retire. They wanted him to run it back the next day.
You know what the difference is, though? I think why they think that Spence should retire is because he had those accidents and he looked so different that he's ever looked. Tyson in the beginning he looked strong. He was trying. He just got fucked up. Here's
the thing. With Mike Tyson, the world loved him.
Yeah.
The world loved him. And they couldn't believe that Buster Douglas, of all people, did that to him. Sure. And at the end of the fight, they were talking about a long count, which it was. They were talking about a long count. And the way they were making excuses for Mike.
Yeah.
Bud's fan base just don't want him to run it back with Errol just because. Look, they agreed to it. And Errol, whatever was going on, I don't even want to talk about what I was told. They agreed to a rematch. So he's going to keep his word.
Well,
if it happens again, it happens again. It's boxing, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know what you've heard, but I wouldn't be surprised because he has, I think, 7 or 8 more days to trigger the rematch, is what I've been told. I wouldn't be surprised if the rematch doesn't get triggered because maybe there's some medical issues. I wouldn't be surprised if there's something medically holding him up.
Anything is possible. And you know that. Anything's possible. The reason why I'm not going to lean on the car accident is because he done had 2 fights after the car accident where he was dominant.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. But then also, if you've talked to if you know a little bit about the way it works, it's a slow progression. You know what I mean? So he could have the accident and then he's all the sparring he's had since then and everything. And it just, but you're right.
Did you know he didn't spar for 6 weeks in that camp? Did you know that?
I heard that.
Yeah, he didn't spar for 6 weeks. So there was something going on. And all I'm going to say is, when you don't spar for 6 weeks in the camp, that's an injury.
Yes.
That's a fact.
Yes.
And that's all I'm going to say about that.
And if it's, and there's a difference. Is it an injury where, his eyes hurt again? But the way he looked, it didn't look like just like a hurt shoulder. It looked like something was wrong, really wrong.
Bro, I'm not going to say what I heard. And I heard it that night.
Well, just say it, unless you don't want to. You don't have to get into it.
No. Because I put out what people have told me.
Okay.
And then I get attacked like I'm making excuses. I'm
No,
the one that gave Bud full credit. You could check my resume.
you won't get attacked. You
You
won't get
know,
attacked.
listen, listen.
I'm I'm
I'm done with like releasing what people told me. I don't,
okay.
it's like whatever, man. Because everything I
Okay.
say, it's like people think that I'm some sort of Errol super fan,
Right.
and I hate Bud, But I'm the one. I did. You saw my interview with Bomac at the presser,
Right.
okay? And I got videos bigging up Bud. I
Right.
was the one concerned about Bud's well-being when he went to Dubai to talk to Daniel Kinahan, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing there? Not him. Go get your money, but not from him. That guy's a
Right.
gangster.
Right. Right.
That guy's a gangster. You
Right.
rolling around in the mud with gangsters, please leave Dubai. And for those of you in the chat that don't know who Daniel Kinahan is, Google him and then ask yourself, where's MTK Global?
Well,
I did
wait.
not want Bud anywhere near that situation.
When you heard about what happened to Spence, who'd you hear it from? Or you can't say.
Tay Jones.
Okay. And you
I
don't
heard
want to say what it was?
No, I'll tell you behind the scenes,
Okay.
but
'Cause I'm really curious because, I'm not a supporter of either. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But to me, clearly something looked off.
and
Again,
you see what you're saying? You pick Bud, but you don't hate Errol.
I don't.
And-
Yeah, I like them both.
Right. And that's perfectly fine. That's why I stand. I picked Errol over Bud, but I always said it's boxing. Errol could go in there and get knocked out in the first round. I remember saying that. And look
Mhm.
what happened. It didn't go in the first round, but he got washed.
Yeah.
And then as that night, I'm getting texts and I'm like, oh boy. And then we look at the Jumbotron, he walks out the car and I'm like, oh boy. Damn it.
Oh, so you were told before the fight started?
Yes.
Well,
Yes. While I'm in the building, I'm getting text. And I'm like, damn.
I
Damn.
mean,
And I'm
but
like, man, and I was just quiet. I was
I
like, man,
was
this is bullshit.
I was getting, and I hope I'm wrong, but Parkinson's or some onset of some shit neurological. The vibe I was getting by looking at him, and I hope that's off. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it was just weight drain or whatever. But
You don't forget how to fight in one night. If we get the same results after the rematch, if it's the same thing, then we can have that conversation.
right,
But
right.
based off of what I was told, yeah, that's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting, like, as far as from what I was told.
What?
But I try and like share that information just for the sake of sharing the information.
What do you mean? That's what you're getting?
That there was something wrong.
Oh yeah.
Like physically something wrong. And again,
Right.
he didn't spar for 6 weeks. That's an injury, ladies and gentlemen. That's an injury.
Yeah.
And when I brought that information, instead of people saying, oh man, Drew, we appreciate it, I get called an excuse maker. So, F it, man. I ain't gonna say anything.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I ain't gonna say anything. I mean, he one thing we can all agree, everyone across the board, even Bud fans will say, he didn't look right.
No.
He didn't look right. And that's all I'm saying. He did not look right.
Yeah, no, he didn't. And
that's why he got his ass kicked.
And an argument could be made that Bud hit him a few times and that's what did it. You never know, but to me, something looked a little off. But either way, again, let me just reiterate, I don't think it would have made a difference, even if he was 100% that night. I think Bud was just so far above. But that being said, we might not get a rematch. We might. We're going to find out within a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, which moves on to the next topic. Let's say the rematch does not happen.
Mm-hmm.
Terence Crawford just went from saying initially, there's weight classes for a reason. I would not go past 158, 160 pounds to fight Canelo. I'm not doing that. And just on Joe Rogan a couple days ago, he says, I love challenges, right, Crawford?
Oh, boy.
I look at Canelo and I size it up. I say, well, we're both 5'8". He's heavier, but I'm faster. My my arms are longer. I could do this. I want to fight the winner of Charlo and Canelo, is what Bud Crawford just said. What do you think?
Bud, I love you, brother. Pump your brakes. Pump your brakes, brother. Stop. Stop for a second. Stop for a second. I need you to look at the landscape and recognize what's going on. Okay, here's what's going on. Canelo had some sizable challenges and money on the table just last year, and he said no. Now he's at the PBC for an undisclosed amount of money. I heard some things, but I can't deny or confirm exactly what it is. He's here now. Why is he here? Do you think he'd come here? He has all the money in the world right now. Do you think he would come here if he didn't think he could win every fight that he got signed up for? Absolutely not. Okay. I'm hearing that David Benavidez is not even on the menu. Okay. And magically now we're talking about Bud versus him. And we're going to forget about David Benavidez. We're going to forget about Boo Andre, he ducked literally for 8 years, man. Okay. Literally 8 years. That fight was supposed to happen. But now he's here for the little Charlo. Maybe the bigger Charlo, who hasn't been in the goddamn ring for 2 years. And the third fight was going to be Errol, but we saw what happened to Errol. And the general idea is that it's going to happen again. And if it does happen again, now you're looking at Bud. Bud, listen to me. Listen to me very carefully. The business sees value in Canelo Alvarez. That's just how it is. Just like the business sees value in Vasily Lomachenko over Shakur. Vasily Lomachenko his last fight, he just lost to Devin Haney. If you look at the sanctioning bodies, the WBA, the IBF, the WBC, I believe. I think Vasily Lomachenko is still ranked ahead of Shakur. How can this be when he just lost?
Right.
I could be wrong. It might be the WBO, the WBC. I think the WBO is the only sanctioned body that has Shakur ahead of Loma. Okay. Shakur just hit up Loma. And he hit up Loma, and Loma told him basically no. And now I'm reading a tweet that was sent to me. I don't know if it's true or not, but now Loma and Kambosos are doing. The rumor is they're doing business for a potential fight in Australia.
Oh,
so those two men see more value in each other than they see in Shakur. And Shakur, he at least deserves that at 135. But they are looking to make money off Lomachenko and Kambosos and stick Shakur in the ring with Frank Martin. Shakur, my question to Shakur is, that's a great fight between him and Frank Martin, but that's high risk, low reward. You've been doing better fighting Kambosos or Lomachenko, because the 25% that you ducked from Haney, I'm guaranteeing you that's more than what you're going to be making fighting Frank Martin. So you ain't getting Kambosos, you ain't getting Lomachenko, they're giving you Frank Martin, which is not an easy fight for you, good brother. Or half brother, because you're Puerto Rican. You understand? So now look at you now. What I'm saying is the business sees more value in most fighters than others.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. And they see value in Canelo Alvarez. So I said all that to say this, but recognize what's going on. Stay away from Canelo, man. Because I firmly believe you can box beautifully and they will snatch that shit from you.
So do you think Bud beats Canelo?
50-50 fight.
50-50. Okay.
But if they split 6 rounds apiece, who you think's getting the nod? Canelo or Bud?
Well, what about if Charlo wins and he fights Bud? How do you see that going?
I got Jamel. I got Jamel.
Wow.
Because he's bigger. He's actually bigger than Errol.
Yeah.
And he's more comfortable at 154.
Right.
But I also don't like fighters going way up in weight and then coming back down. We saw what happened to Roy versus Antonio Tarver.
Sure did.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that at all. So, I mean, look, man, the business of boxing, in the words of my brother Black, The business of boxing is staying in business.
Right.
And if they don't see value in you, it is what it is. Gary Russell Jr., when was the last time he fought?
I don't even know.
Okay, last time he fought was like last year, and he lost, I think.
Right.
And I'm like, why is he not active? He's a talent. Why is he not active? What's going on? You know, I used to talk to his brother Batman, God rest the dead, and he used to tell me some things. And I'm like, wow. He told me a lot of things about rankings that I did not know. He told me a lot of things that happened behind the scenes that I did not know. And it all checked out. Why is he not active? I don't know. Why are PBC fighters not as active as they should be? I don't know.
So, if Bud doesn't fight Charlo or Canelo, and he doesn't fight Spence, who's left? Who could he fight? That would make sense for him.
Keith Thurman.
I don't think he'd want to fight Thurman. You
Why
know,
not?
because he's on that like legacy or big money fight type shit. That's what he's on right now.
Well, all the names you mentioned, those are the money fights right there.
Right.
Those are the legacy defining fights. So if he don't fight them, who's left?
It might not happen for a few reasons. Spence, you know, medically, whatever, and then Charlo and Canelo could be tied up in rematches if it's close. I mean, that could be a year of nothing. So like,
right?
Who does he fight? Who does Crawford fight if those three guys?
I know where people are going. They want to see him versus Boots. I know that.
He made it clear he's not fighting Boots.
No, and I love Boots, but listen, Bud is in a position of power. That's just is what it is. He's in a position of power. He earned it. He deserves it, and he's a shot caller right now. So if I'm against the Canelo fight, but if he had a change of heart and he wants to do it, who am I to? You know, I wouldn't recommend it, but if he does it, he does it. But Boots is a high risk, low reward fight. There's no money there. They did 700K buys.
Yeah,
which is
not that good.
It's not that good. I was hoping for $1 million.
Yeah, frame of reference for people watching. I think the record was 2 point something, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's Connor Floyd, I think, or is it Connor?
Yeah, and see, yeah. Shout out to the goddamn fans for that.
Yeah,
shout out to the damn fans. You know, everyone's talking about, oh well, you know, streaming and everything else. Listen, man, with streaming and everything else, Ryan Garcia and Tank still did 1 million buys.
Ooh, did they?
Yeah,
that
1 million buys.
To me, that's crazy. Or not crazy. It's a testament to what boxing is. You have, on one hand, one fight that is literally as even as it can get in history. Turned out not to be so, but beforehand. Then on the other hand, you have a fight that is almost as one-sided as it could get. Nobody really gave Garcia a real chance who knew boxing. There's just an experience discrepancy, you know, and a lot of other reasons. But this one outsells it by 25%.
You know why? These people aren't fans. And I've said that on my show basically all last week. These people are not fans. They're not. They are D-blowers. They're D-blowers. They are. They are. And I'm trying not to be too profane. They're D-blowers. And I've been explaining this for a long time now. I mean, okay, I put up a video with Jamel Charlo because we was in the pocket talking to these guys. Then I put up the video with Steve Espinoza explaining things about the politics of boxing. And when I asked him where the franchise status went, he reiterated what he said and what he heard. See, that's information that people should be attracted to. Like, wow, this is really something big happening in boxing.
Right.
I put up a video about something that Gary Russell said. The shit got almost 3,000 views. Wow. And people arguing in my chat about people making excuses for Errol. And I'm like, are y'all listening to what I read in the article? What is going on with you? And then it dawned on me, oh my God, these people are retarded. They don't think like you and I. Look, I'm going to say like 60% of the people that claim they love boxing are retarded. They don't listen. Their favorite guy loses, they're going to leave the sport. Okay, I'll give you an example of that. Years ago, right here on YouTube, we had something called Pactards and Flomos. Okay, Pactards, Pacquiao fans, and
Oh,
Flomos, Floyd Mayweather fans.
okay.
Both were bad for boxing. Both of them. And it got so out of control, so out of hand, so racial that it almost turned me off.
Right.
It almost turned me off. There are channels that built huge numbers off of the Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather thing.
Right.
And as soon as Pacquiao lost, they stopped doing content.
Right.
All right. After Floyd like retired and got out, a lot of the Flomos, they stopped doing content. They were not boxing supporters. They were fans of fighters.
Right.
Now, I support a lot of fighters, but I support the sport of boxing first. I want a fair sport. I want a clean sport. I want justice. I don't want gangsters running around the sport, but if you know this sport, you know that you can't help certain things.
No.
You cannot. Okay, but when you have an opinion, when you pick one fighter over another, immediately these fanatics think that you hate the other guy. See, I've discussed the sport in depth. You can have an opinion, and that's fine. But I ain't got to tear down a fighter to bring one up. But when you do something stupid, I'll call you out on it. This is a dirtbag sport. I say this because it's true.
Yeah.
We're like battered spouses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, because the sport beats us down, but we keep coming back. And all I can do is speak on the corruption and everything else. But if the corruption is favoring the guy that you support unconditionally, you don't care. And I get that. Come to my channel with that, I'm just going to block you. It's as simple as that. I'm surrounded by retards. I got real supporters who understand where I'm coming from, but I got a lot of retards around me too. And every now and again, they'll show their hand. And they're not thinking on a wavelength that I'm thinking. I want a clean and just sport, and it's hard to get.
And that's why I never focus on the outside, because it is frustrating. I just try and focus on the fighters, what we got, breaking down the matches, that kind of thing. Because, you know, you're right. The outside of it, the business of it is very messy, you know. And I wish I had a hedge fund of, you know, $1 trillion where I could start a nice union and start a, you know what I mean?
Brother, we've spoken to guys that have been out of the ring for 2 decades. Okay, Sweet Reggie Johnson. There's cats in the chat that don't even know who the hell he is. He is about 15 rounds short of a pension in California. What is he going to do? Come out of retirement to get those 15 rounds on his belt?
I didn't know they did.
50-something years old. What is he going to do? Get hurt?
I didn't know you got a pension. Hey, who's giving them a pension?
In California is different, but I think all fighters should have a pension.
Of course. If you fight a certain amount of rounds, you should have eligible. Yep.
But people won't know that. But I'm just a fanboy. I'm a Wilder fanboy. I'm a Spence fanboy, whatever. But you don't check my body of work. Okay? I talk to these old school fighters. I had Angel Man Freddy on my show, and it broke my heart. I damn near cried after the show.
Yeah.
That's not the guy that I came up watching.
Yeah, it was sad.
When his eyes don't even move.
Yeah.
He gets brain work done like every week. He gets his shit zapped. I don't know what it is. And I said, man, this is messed up, man. He could use an additional $4,000 a month for the rest of his life, man. These guys aren't wealthy. I talk to Freddie Pendleton on the regular. So when I have these guys on my show, ESPN ain't doing that. No one's talking about them. Ain't no one reaching out to talk to these guys. We are.
Yeah.
I talk to them on a regular, and I try and make moves to bring awareness to how dirty this damn sport is. So when I talk about having a clean sport, when I talk about Daniel Kinahan and people, fighters are so MTK Global is gone. There was over 500 fighters on their roster. Half of them can't even fly to America now because of Daniel Kinahan. Just look it up.
Right.
Just look it up, man. But these are the things that I speak out on. But I know I'm racist and everything else. But it's okay. Do the math. Do the homework. I'm not in the business of hating fighters without reason. Don't hate Bud. I don't hate anybody until they do something to make me hate them. I can't support Canelo because he popped dirty. He denied it, never said I'm sorry, and then Mauricio Suleiman changed allowable levels of clenbuterol into the system.
Oh wow.
What am I supposed to do with that? I'm supposed to still support him? Why? So I have to back off for him. So of course I'm rooting for Jamel. Do I think he wins? No. So to answer your question, what does Bud do? I don't know. If the Charlo fight ain't there, I don't know. If the Errol fight ain't there, I don't know. That's why I said Keith Thurman.
Right.
I don't know what he does. If he stays around and fights Boots, what kind of buys did it do? But I want to know. I pointed out the Ryan Garcia Tank fight for a reason. They did 1 million buys, but the two number one and number two pound for pound in the world, American welterweights got together and did over 700,000 buys. Yeah. Less than Tank versus a guy y'all know was going to lose.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me about fan support. Don't ever talk to me about that. Y'all are retarded. Y'all are retarded.
Boxing kind of misses the thing that some of these sports teams have, which is like the hometown pride that, you have a whole city rooting for you. It's cool way sport teams are set up, and boxing just doesn't really have that. Doesn't have a lot of things. But so let's move away from that, and I want to talk before we wrap everything up about the lightweights / junior welterweights, right? 135, 140, deepest division in boxing. I mean, probably when was the last time there was that many good fighters in one division? I can't even think of it. Right, where you could legitimately have an argument that out of all 4 or 5 of them, you could legitimately argue that all of them could be the best.
That lightweight division is so lit right now.
It's crazy. So, first question, simple question, right? Who do you think, if they did a round robin and they fought a tournament, who would come out and prevail and be the best fighter and beat everybody of those 5? We're talking Tank, Loma, Shakur, Haney. Who else am I missing?
Haney's not there. Haney's not going to 140.
Well, I'm including that because all those guys can fight each other. When they're 5 pounds apart, they all can and will fight each other. So I'm including all of them.
Okay.
Who do you think wins of all those guys if they all fought each other?
And you're including Haney?
Haney, Tio, Tank, Shakur, Loma, those 5.
Haney.
You think Haney beats everybody?
I think Haney beats everybody. Pulling up the rear, I'll say Shakur.
Pulling up the what? Oh,
pulling up the rear, I'll say Shakur.
Okay.
All right. But I think the reason why I say Haney over Shakur is because Shakur didn't take that 25. He didn't take that 25%. So I think that his fan base has more faith in him than he has faith in himself. So I say Haney beats everybody because I respect the road that he's traveled, and I like his skill set.
Okay.
Pulling up the rear, Shakur, then Tank.
Then Tank. I put Tank first, but I know that I don't know. I know that I don't know because we haven't really seen a lot of these guys. Like Shakur has the tools to be one of the greatest fighters of all time, but as of now, he's still not fully proven or tested. But I do recognize what he has. Same thing with Haney. Haney has the tools to be an all-time great. But again, and Haney probably has the better. I mean, he fought Kambosos.
He has a better resume because he's undisputed.
Right, he's undisputed, but still, too, like they all need to fight each other, and that's the great. This is why we're gonna get an all-time great out of that bunch, if not 2 or 3, because they're all gonna fight each other, hopefully, and that's what you need in an era. You need the Frazier, Ali, Foremans. You need those guys to clash. That's right. Roy's biggest. Oh, who'd he fight? That's not his fault. There was nobody around. Although he did beat Hopkins and Tony, who are all-time greats. But these guys all have each other. So I wonder who comes out.
Well, let me ask you a question. these guys need to fight, right?
They
Are you
do.
looking forward to Tank versus Isak Cruz too?
Is that happening?
It's being spoken about.
No, I don't want to see that.
Okay.
Although, I mean,
Well,
I heard that Cruz. I didn't even see the fight. I heard Cruz gave him a little bit of a challenge, but there was no question on who won, right?
yeah. Tank broke his hand in that fight.
Right. Right.
And
I don't
if
want to see
it's
that.
on YouTube, you can go watch it, and you'll see. He
Yeah.
really did break his hand,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
happy for Isak Cruz. I'm happy. It's a feel good story. He was one fight away from being homeless, and he got that Tank fight and changed his whole life around. But
Yeah.
in Vegas, he fought on the undercard, and I wasn't impressed. He got the win, but I wasn't impressed.
Oh yeah, he fought. Out
Out of
Giovanni?
Freddie Roach's camp.
Yeah, I interviewed Giovanni
Yeah,
Cabrera.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he won.
It was close. It
Yeah.
was very close.
I thought he won. He was very comfortable in there.
Yeah,
He was
no, I
very-
don't want.
he ate the punches.
Right. No, I don't want to see Tank fight this guy again.
They about to serve us that. That's the word. Now I don't know if it's true or not, but that's the word.
The what?
They about to serve us part 2 of Isak Cruz. So that right there, when Tank does that, when Team Tank does that, when you got a stacked division, we come from the 80s, man. I don't respect that. Don't give me that. You beat him already.
Now, my problem with Haney and Shakur, not a problem, but the lack of punching power, and funny enough, it's weird, right? The technical ability they have makes them, some people think, quote unquote, slightly boring to watch. Now, it depends who you are, right? Some people can watch it and really soak in and appreciate the sweet science. Some people, I think the most exciting fight in boxing in that weight division would be T.O. versus Tank. I think that would be very exciting to watch because they both will just be bombing away. They both have power. They're both speed. They both go toe to toe. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Try to hold down your vomit when I mentioned T.O. I know.
Yeah. You already know how I feel. Okay.
But it would be an exciting fight. Don't you agree?
Yeah. Floyd already mentioned Teofimo's name.
Mm-hmm.
He already mentioned his name. So I see him making that for me, obvious reasons,
right?
Because it's Floyd, and I know what he I already know where he's I already know his mindset towards certain things.
Right.
And I'll just say race plays an issue. He sees more value in catering to that audience.
You mean the Hispanic audience?
Yeah, that audience than a Devin Haney audience, or Frank Martin, or
Right.
So with politics, we're never going to get 100% what we want at 135. We're never going to get 100% what we want.
I hope you're wrong.
Me too. I hope I'm extremely wrong. I hope I'm wrong about everything.
Yeah.
Because I don't trust this damn sport worth a damn. And there's a lot of fights out there. Hell, Teofimo included. He washed Josh Taylor.
Yeah.
He washed him.
Yeah.
All right. That Teofimo Lopez styles on George Kambosos. Styles on him.
Yeah.
So listen, man. He styles on him, and that's just what it is.
Yeah.
But I don't hate Josh Taylor. He just got schooled. That's just what happened.
He did.
So now he's talking about going up to 140. So I mean, look, man, it is what it is. No, I'm sorry, he is at 140.
140.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is. But 135, it's wide open, and there's a lot of talent that could emerge.
Yeah.
And being that Devin Haney's going to 140, that means they're not going to let him keep his belts at 135. Right. It's wide open for Shakur to do what he has to do. To me, the fight to make, now that Devin's gone, undisputed, it should come down to the winner of Shakur and Frank Martin if they fight, and Tank in the Isak Cruz rematch, if that's even a reality.
I mean, why doesn't Tank fight Shakur?
Why you think, Marco?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'll say it. Floyd Mayweather does not see value in black fighters.
Oh.
That's the bottom line.
I forget that Floyd's still running Tank's because I remember that they were going to split. I forgot that.
They listen. If Floyd's not around, the Tank is doing this himself, or anyone else. He'd be in the middle of he probably would have fought Devin by now. 50-50 fight. I'm just riding with Devin. But it's a 50-50 fight. And again, I'm not saying Tank is trash or nothing like that. Hell no. None of those guys at 135 is trash. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
None of those guys. I'm just saying we should not be getting hit in the head with a goddamn Isak Cruz rematch, man. Not when all this talent floating around.
I agree.
You beat Isak already. You ain't got to do that again. You should be saying, okay, the winner of Frank Martin and Shakur, if that happens, I need to be laser focused on that. And now that he's leaving, I need to grab all of these belts. But what did Floyd say? The belts don't pay the bills. And guess what? Tank ain't got to do that. You know why? If Tank fights Devin, although Devin's undisputed, Tank is the bigger draw, goddammit. And this is the part of the business that I don't like, but it's a reality.
Yeah.
How's that? How's that for honesty?
Well,
this is just what it is, man.
I know, and I mean, I hope we can get those fights. It looks like Shakur is really trying to get something big.
Yeah,
but that's what it looks like, But again, who knows? But to me, Shakur and Tank are at the top of the heap.
Yeah,
in my opinion. So, but again, Tank's the only person who fought. I think he has the best resume, but even him, he still hasn't. None of them have fought each other yet, and that's what I'm waiting for.
I hope we get all those fights, bro. I hope we get all of those fights, but I don't trust the business. And let me reiterate, Frank Martin is a serious talent. Shakur, to me, is the best at 135. And I'm saying that only because Devin is at 140 now. That's why I'm saying that. Shakur, to me, could beat Tank. All right? Tank is pulling up the rear. All right? And I don't know where y'all throwing Ryan at. I'd like to see Ryan versus Isak Cruz. And guess what? Based on what I saw from Isak in Vegas, I think Ryan could beat Isak Cruz now. Because he's a lot faster than what's his name? Giovanni,
yeah.
Giovanni. Ryan's a lot faster than him.
Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting.
And he's just as tall,
Yeah. So don't look now. Ryan Garcia might be a major player against a guy like Isak Cruz. Yeah. So now you have to, and plus, here comes the business part. He sold $1 million with Tank. So he's a major player, whether we like it or not.
Yes.
That's the business that we don't necessarily agree with.
Yeah.
But here it is.
True.
Here it is.
True.
So 135 is live. But with Tank not doing what we want him to do, I just don't know if we get anything that we deserve as supporters of the sport. Or fanatics, whatever you identify as.
Right.
This is sad. I got a problem with the sport of boxing. The sport of boxing is not doing right by us, ladies and gentlemen. The sport of boxing is not doing right by us.
Yeah, it's always been that way, but it seems to be a lot worse as of late.
Yeah. I mean, really think about the names we mentioned, and then ask yourself, why the hell haven't we gotten these fights?
Yeah,
it's been 2 years now.
This has been a problem since that I remember it being a real problem, stopping major fights since Floyd and Manny. And that's when I remember it really starting.
Listen, Floyd Manny made us wait goddamn 5 years. I have a relative that went to college. No, I'm sorry, went to high school. And when the fight finally got signed, he was in his first year in college. And I said, yeah, I'm taking a day off from work to go to watch the Manny fight, and I'm having a fight party. He said, they finally fighting? And then it dawned on me. They first started talking, and he was a freshman. Now he's a first year in college, and now they're just not fighting. I said, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's really been that long.
Yeah.
And then off the heels of that, we still ain't get AJ versus Wilder. 4 years of that bullshit.
Yeah.
I wanted Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. This was my ideology back then. I wanted those men to retire so boxing can go back to normal. Well, they kind of retired and went away, but boxing has just gotten more weird.
Yeah.
It's just gotten more weird. All of this talent, nobody's fighting each other. Devin went around belt collecting, taking short money, and everyone talks shit about him.
Yeah, I mean,
And then when you look at a guy like Tank, who's a phenomenal talent, when you want to talk about his talent, everybody wants to talk about the antics outside the ring. So it's like, what are we doing?
yeah.
What are we doing? This is sad.
Yeah.
And then me and you go to presses and actually try and get news, and a lot of people don't even respect it. It's just like, what are we doing?
Yep.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I can
with you.
clickbait anybody, but I don't do shit like that.
Right.
I'm trying to bring y'all real news.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if you like it, great. If you don't like it, great. There's the door. But this sport don't love you. Know that. Know that. The sport don't love you. So root for your guy until you can't root for your guy no more. So to bring the shit full circle, I don't want Bud Crawford in the ring with Canelo because I don't like the business. The business is not on his side. It's not.
Okay.
It's disgusting.
You might have a point.
The reason why I don't want Bud in the ring with Canelo is the same reason why they're trying to shove Isak and Tank down your throats, knowing that Tank is going to beat this kid. When you got Shakur and Lomachenko and Kambosos running around here.
Right.
Come on, man.
No, I'm with you. Certain fights need to be made, but that's what it is. Well, man, I got to get out of here. This was fun, and let's talk again.
Absolutely, good brother. Appreciate you.
Of course. Peace.
Yes, sir.
All right.